Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Lokendra Sharma and I'm an assistant professor at Department of Molecular Medicine and Biotechnology, Sanjay Gandhi PGI Lucknow. I will be discussing today a very useful method, or you can say a technique, which is very common in various biomedical research laboratory, which focuses mainly on human diseases. So in those laboratories, we require certain model system to investigate our research hypothesis, and that research hypothesis can be, testing the efficacy of a drug, or maybe testing the potency of a drug, or maybe drug screening program that we require. So for that, you need to have certain model system in which you can test those things before going to the preclinical trials. So there are various models. First, or the basic model, is the cell culture model or cell-based model that we call as in vitro model. And then we can go for a higher order of animals, and generally starting from mice to larger animal they are used, and then later on it goes to the clinical settings. So this is just a basic setup. The image that you are seeing on your screen first is primarily a basic setup of a cell culture laboratory. You have this biosafety cabinet, and you require one CO2 incubator in which you generally keep the cells. And these are some of the example of plasticwares in which how you grow the cells. These are some of the media composition, and this is how you can see the cells which are growing in culture. So this is fluorescent images which is labeled by various sort of dyes, and these dyes are different in color. So you can, if you want to measure any cellular process going on inside the cells and various organelles which are present inside, you can co-localize them, and then you can study the mechanism. This is another example which is very close to the three-dimensional structure, or more close to the tissue typic structure, and these are the three-dimensional culture. And so overall, I will be giving you a brief idea how a normal biomedical research laboratory perform its cell culture as a model, and then what are the applications. And at the end of the slides, we will go for a virtual tour in which I will just give you a brief idea how research people are working in the lab. So to begin with, the first question is, what is cell culture? So basically the cell culture is isolation of various type of cells from a tissue or organ. It can be either animal system or plant system or patient samples, and then their subsequent growth in an artificial media which are required for their optimum growth. So basically this is the image where either it can be a tissue isolated from a patient, and then because tissues are made up of cells, and most of the tissue then make up the organ system, then organ makes the system. So by that way, cells are the basic unit of a tissue or system. So you can isolate these cells, and then you can put them in an artificial environment, primarily the growth. And then this is just a typical image of a fibroblast cells after the growth of the cells. So cell culture is a general term which is used for removal of cells from tissue and organs, and they are required for the conducive to their growth. Origin can be different types, plant or animal. Depending on the type of origin, you can classify them plant tissue culture or animal tissue culture. Mostly the cells which are cultured in biomedical laboratory, they are the mammalian cells. They are isolated from a mammalian system. It can be from patient or maybe from animal. These are some of the example of from where the cells can be derived, either from a tissue. Tissue can be a different type, for example, connective tissue, muscle tissue, or central nervous system tissue. These cells are nomenclature. Nomenclature of these cells can be based on the different types of cells from where they are isolated, and once these cells are grown in culture for a longer period of time, it can become immortalized by various modifications, and it behaves like a tumor cells which can grow indefinitely. So there are various type of immortalized cells or tumor cells that can also be used in these cell-based system. And different types of cell cultures, you can classify them as a primary. So primary are known as when you directly isolate cells from a tissue, and once you grow them for a longer period of time, it can be an isolate specific type of cells or strain that we can call as established cell culture. These cells can be grown and as a monolayer, or it can be grown as a suspension. And when these cells are if you want to grow them to achieve certain tissue-like structure. These can also be grown in specialized type of cell systems that we call as three-dimensional culture. So overall, cell culture is an isolation of cells from a tissue and an organ, and then artificially growing them a different environment to monitor their growth or to perform certain type of experimentation. So the major question again, why we do it? What is the need of doing cell culture? So the first thing is we are trying to identify, we are testing our research hypothesis, and then for that we cannot go directly to a human samples or maybe the patient or maybe in an animal system. So you require a pre-model or you require a basic model to validate your hypothesis, and this can be a suitable model for testing the research hypothesis. For example, if you want to measure the test of or the effect of any drug or bioactive molecules in regulated condition, so you can use these cell-based systems. It can also be used for drug screening or before going to the animal or preclinical studies for analyzing the effect of various novel bioactive molecules. And since these cell cultures can also be scaled up or can also give you a feeling of in vivo system, now they are more specialized to be grown as histotypic or organotypic culture, which is very close to the organ or system. That can give you an idea how the cells are behaving in culture, and then what you can expect if you introduce them to an in vivo system. So, and the major reason of using these cell culture studies is primarily due to their population, which are homogeneous in nature. They represent a single type of cells, which we call it as clone, and they are identical replicates. It is easy and controllable experimentation because everything is very much defined, whether you're using a media to grow the cells or if you are artificially controlling their growth by temperature or by various gases which are available for their growth or which are required for their growth, and humidity and several other factors. So everything is very tuned up. You know what are the physicochemical and physiological properties of cell culture media. So if we can tweak one of the component, you can see the difference in their response towards the drug. And that is useful in terms of getting a reproducible result or validating your research hypothesis or the molecules which you are testing. And these can be used in longer term also. So once you grow the cells, once you establish a cell line, you can save them for a longer period of time. You can grow them years after years, and it can be very well maintained in proper storing condition. So they can be cultured, they can be saved for future use. And also, since this is a uniform system, and it is very economical, and it can be scaled up for production of various bioactive molecules, or you can say recombinant protein. I'll show you in another slide what are the applications. So basically, by using cell culture, you can scale up the studies, or you can use these system for various industrial application. And the major application is primarily in the area of biotechnology. For example, drug screening and improvement. So you take these cells, you can screen a series of various drugs which can be effective, which are more potent or less potent. So this can provide an initial platform to screen large number of molecules as a drug screening program. It can also be used for vaccine manufacturing because virus requires host, and cells are a perfect host for that. And you can grow these cells, you can infect with virus particles, and then depending on the type of virus particles that you require, you can use them as a vaccine. So for vaccine manufacturing, industries are mainly using various type of cell lines. In addition to that, various growth factors or recombinant proteins are also produced in the cell lines, because these represents, so when I say cell line, I'm mainly talking about the mammalian cell line. So they are mostly eukaryotic in nature, and whatever the proteins which are generally produced in eukaryotes, they can be cloned and expressed in these cell systems. So you have a protein that is encoded by a gene, you clone the gene, you can transfer that gene into a cell, and then you can grow a large number of cells to produce that particular product. Stem cell again is another aspect of cell culture, because these are the very specialized type of cells, pluripotent in nature, and they can divide in any type of cells. So stem cell methods are also very useful, and these cells can be cultured by using cell culture or in vitro culture methods. In addition to that, there are various applications in gene therapy to treat or maybe to understand the genetic disorder. So these kind of cell system so in genetic disorders, you have a problem with a certain gene, and if you can correct that gene by genetic manipulation, you can introduce that gene directly to the cells. So these cells can be isolated from an organ or system which are defective uh, with the effect by the effect of that particular gene. So you isolate those cells, you grow them in culture outside of your body in a petri dish, and then you introduce that particular gene which is corrected, and then you can see the effect, and then you can reintroduce that gene back to the normal, back to the same person where you have isolated. So, and then you can study the effect of correction of gene therapy. So these are some of the important aspects. In vitro fertilization clinics or IVF clinics are major important, major examples of cell culture method where you culture the sperm cells or the ova, and in vitro fertilization can be, can be seen as well as can be cultured over there. And this is a very useful technique. So overall, this cell culture has a major application in biomedical research, whether it is related to basic or clinical research. So if we look at the general setup of a cell culture facility, it doesn't require so many fancy instruments, but some of the basic instruments are required. This is a very important platform, or you can say biosafety cabinet, where it is used for culturing those various type of cells, and it has a various level of safety standards. So generally what happens in the biosafety cabinet, it has a vertical and laminar airflow. So air blows from upside to downward direction, and this airflow is basically filtered through 0.2 to 0.3 micron filters, and it circulates approximately 99.9% air, which is free from any bacteria or smaller particles above than 0.2 or 0.3 micron in size. And this is called as high efficiency particulate air, and it is to provide aseptic condition while culturing the various type of cells. So these biosafety cabinet comes in a various level. You can classify them BSL 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 and 2 are basically used for growing less hazardous or non-infectious agents. For example, some of the mammalian cells, cancer cell lines, those are non-infectious cancer cell lines. And then when you go for a more safety level, BSL 3 and 4, more infectious agents are used. For example, in today's scenario, the COVID virus dealing with various cultures, it requires BSL 3 level facility when you are dealing directly with the virus particle or viral samples. So BSL 3 and then BSL 4 is much more, highly infectious, contagious sort of disease. So BSL 3 and 4 are more importantly used for high infectious level. The second one is the incubator, where we keep the cells, and there are various levels where you can keep this. So this CO2 incubator is primarily used for controlling various parameters or physical parameters such as temperature, gas, and humidity. So generally when you grow the mammalian cells, it requires 37 degrees Celsius temperature, 5% CO2, which is very close to at the physiological level or physiological pressure of gases inside our body. And then relative humidity, it is approximately 95%. So generally a small pan is present inside an incubator, which is filled with autoclave water, and that is giving approximately more than 95% of the humidity. Another important instrument is basically the inverted microscope, where you see the cells morphology or how they are growing. And if you are trying to perform any fluorescent measurement also, that you can label these cells with specific dyes targeting either a organelle or maybe surface receptors or some proteins, and then you can visualize the cells. So depending on the resolution that you want, you use the objective lenses, which are present from ranging from 10x to 100x. So you can perform bright field microscopy, as well as you can also perform fluorescent microscopy. Rest other are the benchtop centrifuges for spin down the cells. Refrigerators are also required for keeping all the required chemicals, media, and other stuff. And liquid nitrogen tank is a very important aspect where you grow the cells. So where do you keep the cells? So after growing the cells, when you want to save the cells, you can go, you can keep the cells in liquid nitrogen tank, which has a very lower temperature, approximately minus 180 degrees Celsius temperature in a liquefied form. So these cells are stored in a cryopreservating agent. So basically you are freezing the cells, but not, destroying the cells. So you are basically desiccating the cells by the use of various organic solvents such as dimethyl sulfoxide. So it takes out the water from the cell, and then in these conditions, cell can be stored in a liquid nitrogen. And then once you try to revive them, it can, water can enter again back to the normal water in the form of media, and then you can have cells to be revived. Now plastic waste, it is available through various commercial vendors. So this is a normal setup. So these, some of the instruments are required for, performing basic cell culture facilities. So in general, when we do when we, perform certain function in the lab, so this is just a representation of a general methodology of cell culture. So what basically is done in cell culture, that you can take the cells from a tissue that is known as explant, and then ultimately, because the tissue, it is a mixture of various cells, so you are trying to remove the cells from that tissue, and for that you can use disintegration, either through mechanical disintegration or enzymatic disintegration. So mechanical requires grinding, or maybe sonication sometime, or maybe, some of the mechanical method by which you are trying to separate. Enzymatic method are more precise because they are based on certain activities of enzyme, which can interact or which can perform cell-cell interaction, which can disrupt the cell-cell interaction. So sometimes mechanical is sufficient, sometimes enzymatic is sufficient, and sometimes both of them are used in combination to get the single cell suspension. So once you disintegrate the cells, but it should be, it should be in a, revival form, it should be in the original form. The cells are disintegrated from tissue, and then you can grow them in culture dishes. So these are general culture dishes where the media, red color represents the media, and then their growth can be monitored at a certain period of time. Once, so initially when you seed the cells are like this, that is 10 to 20% confidence. When they will grow, if the media is suitable, if the cells are okay, they can proliferate and they can grow up to 30 to 50% of the cells. And after certain period of time, they will achieve more than 90% of the confluency. So by that way, if the cells are like this, or maybe covering most of the surface of the plate, then either you can save them or you can process them by subculturing. So, and after certain, because it is started with the tissue, and tissue is a mixture of various type of cells. So if you want to focus on a particular type of cells, then you can isolate them by continuously growing them. And then you can characterize also whether you are really dealing with the proper cell lines or it's something else. So eventually the process of cell line development or immortalization occurs, and then you can focus on a particular type of cell line. So this is a very routine practice when you are dealing with primary culture. So primary culture, and every time you will be dealing with the tissue, and then you are isolating the cells and you are growing for a certain period of time. So when you isolate a cell from a tissue, it will grow to certain generation, but it is not that it will grow on and on for a longer period of time, because every cell line has, or every cell has its own half-life, or a period of life after that it stopped dividing. So, but if you want to grow them continuously, there are certain modifications that can be made in cell culture, and that is called as immortalization. So you are basically modifying your cells by introducing certain genes which are required for their continuous proliferation, and that process is called as immortalization. I can give you one example where people are more commonly using these cells, and these are the HeLa cells, which is basically isolated from a patient in early 1950s, and that patient was having, cervical cancer. So at that time, since ethical consideration was not that much strong, without his or her consent, those kind of cells were isolated from the tumor tissue, and they were continuously grown. And still nowadays, people are using these cell lines. But since now ethical consideration has been improved, and we know more about, our own rights and duties, so clinical, ethical committees always review before doing any sort of, work which involves patients or dealing with patient samples. So that is very strict. But this is one of the very good example of HeLa cells, which are growing from last maybe more than 5 or 6 decades now. So when you have immortalized cells, they are the very commonly used cells in culture. You can maintain them by trypsinizing, subculturing, or saving them. So saving the cells in a proper cryopreservative media is called as cryopreservation. And you can use these cell lines, for example, in this condition or this or this. So once you have established cell lines, you can plan your experiment. For example, either you want to test any effect of drug, or maybe you want to, study any mechanism. These cell lines can be a good model or good tool to work on. So this is a normal cell culture methodology. And when you deal with the cell culture, it's not that, so it sounds very easy, but when you really deal with the cell culture, you face a lot of problems. For example, the most common problem is, contamination. So since we are living in an environment where we every day we face to various biological agents, sometimes we can, accommodate them, sometimes we can, get infected by them. But in the cell culture, you have to maintain very, very strong aseptic conditions. And so careful handling precautions are required. And sometimes it is very common if you are working with a cell line and it is infected with certain virus or maybe bacteria or maybe fungus. So to avoid that part, frequently the labs are fumigated to avoid such contamination. The cell lines that you are using, you have to routinely validate them, because you never know when you are introducing any variation in those cell lines. So after a certain period of time, you validate those cell lines by specific profiling of the cells, whether it can be by looking at the genetic markers or the protein markers. Again, technician can help in maintaining cell line inventories, because sometimes some labs deal with maybe 50 or hundreds of cell lines. So you have to be very, cautious and have to be very careful for maintaining those stocks and records. Waste disposal is again a very important aspect. So when you deal with infectious cell lines or maybe certain hazardous cell lines, the disposal should be very carefully done, and it depends on the type of biohazard level that you are dealing with. But generally, cells which are not infectious, they are first neutralized either by autoclaving, incineration, or chemical utilization, and then it can be disposed properly. Some of the common contaminants are bacteria, fungi, yeast, mycoplasma. So provided if you have sufficient number of cells, you just discard the culture, discard the media if it is a suspect. But then if in some cases, if you have to, maintain those cell lines, even if they have certain, contamination, you can go and check also that what kind of contamination it has. So various methods are available to find out whether you are dealing with which kind of contamination. And to avoid that, we generally use antibiotics or antiviral agents that are useful in terms of, avoiding those problems associated with cell culture. And so this is just a normal standard operating procedure when you're dealing with cell culture. So more conscious and more vigilant about what's going on inside the biosafety hood and how you're dealing with the cells are more important. So let me take you a virtual tour. Like, this is all about theory part, but if we look at how the laboratory setup is done, I will give you an example of the basic laboratory setup, which requires only biosafety cabinet, CO2 incubator, and microscope that I discussed just now. And then we will look at certain methods, for example, how you can revive the cells from liquid nitrogen or cryopreserve area, and then how you are maintaining the cells in culture by looking at them by trypsinizing, by culturing or cell counting, and by spreading. So you're using a normal cell culture setup, and the laboratory or cell culture laboratory to use the isolated space. So it should be free from various traffic, and this is just an example of, so you have different level of entry, or you have to restrict your entry. And this is one door, then you are entering into the second door where you have a small setup. So this is basically a fluorescent microscopy, or you can say microscopic facility, where you visualize the cells, where it is kept, where when you're growing the cells, you can visualize the cells. These are general setup. You can keep the chemicals and media and other reagents here. And there is another room where you have all these biosafety cabinets and incubators are available. So this is one example of biosafety cabinet where you have, so this is biosafety level 2, and so when you on this, it makes some sound, and then you have various functions. Primarily, so like I told you before, that it contains laminar airflow, where air flows from top to bottom, and then it filters out most of the impurities or small particles greater than 0.2 to 0.3 micron. So it has a blower light, UV light, small light. So this is a brown light or the normal fluorescent light, UV light. So before starting any work, we used to keep every stuff inside the hood and then put the light on. So that makes the overall area sterilized, so 20 to 30 minutes. So this is another important that is called a CO2 incubator. It has a temperature and CO2 sensor. So temperature is generally maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. And this is how the small vessels and the different cells are available. You can keep that. There is a small pen which contains the water. So that makes the relative humidity ranging from 90 to 95%. So this is one aspect. Second is
to summarize what we have learned with all this information, that cell cultures are a very useful homogeneous model systems to investigate the effect of any research hypothesis that may include, investigating the effect of a drug or any bioactive molecule or a cellular mechanism in a regulated manner. These cell cultures are established through isolation of cells from a tissue or an organ, from animal or maybe from patient samples, and grown in a favorable condition to obtain a cell lineage. So when it is isolated from a tissue and grown for a certain period of time, that is called as primary culture. But when it is grown for a longer period of time after immortalization, it is called established cell line. So these are very useful, and these homogeneous population can be used to obtain reproducible results as well as validate certain findings. It has great biotechnological implication, and in today's time, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It requires aseptic conditions for culture and maintenance of cell. So overall, cell culture, is a very useful model system, and it has been used routinely in the biotechnological lab, as well as it has several industrial applications. These are some of the references. If somebody is interested to read in detail, these are the references can be explored. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.